to ask Provost Jamison to introduce our honorary degree recipient and 2018 commencement speaker.
Mr. President, faculty, and distinguished guests, we are pleased to award an honorary degree to one of the most recognized figures in journalism, Mr. Wolf Blitzer. Born in American-occupied Germany in the aftermath of World War II, Mr. Blitzer is the son of Jewish refugee parents who survived Nazi concentration camps. He began his journalistic career in 1972 with the Reuters news agency in Tel Aviv, then became a Washington correspondent for the Jerusalem Post. After more than 15 years of reporting from the nation's capital, he joined CNN in 1990 as the network's Pentagon correspondent. Mr. Blitzer has been with the landmark cable all-news station now for 28 years and has covered national and international news, moderated presidential debates, interviewed presidents and foreign leaders. In recognition of his outstanding career and his many contributions, he has earned the degree Doctor of Humane Letters Honoris Causa. Will Wolf Blitzer please step forward? Will Dr. Daria Jacobs and Dr. David Sunoka please come forward and assist in presenting to Wolf Blitzer the hood and the diploma symbolic of the degree that he has earned today. Mr. President, upon recommendation of the Board of Trustees, please confer the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters Honoris Causa upon Wolf Blitzer.
This guy's been on camera a few times. This is pretty easy for him. Now, it is my honor to invite to the podium our commencement speaker. Wolf Blitzer was CNN's senior White House correspondent covering President Bill Clinton's election and the 1992 election until 1999, then became the anchor of the Sunday program Late Edition with Wolf Blitzer for more than a decade. Throughout his career, Blitzer has interviewed 8 presidents, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, and Gerald Ford. You must have been about 3 years old when you interviewed Gerald Ford, geez. The students are going, who's Gerald Ford? No, I'm just kidding. Gerald Ford actually came to Robert Morris University before in the past, by the way. We have a picture with him. He has also interviewed many foreign leaders, including the Dalai Lama, the former Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher, and my favorite, the former South African President Nelson Mandela. He has authored 2 books, Between Washington and Jerusalem, A Reporter's Notebook, and Territory of Lies. Blitzer earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in History from the State University of New York at Buffalo, and a Master's of Arts degree in International Relations from Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies in Washington. In addition, Blitzer has numerous honorary degrees from educational institutions across the country, including George Washington University, Howard University, Catholic University of America, the State University of New York at Buffalo, and Penn State University. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wolf Blitzer.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. I am so grateful to your wonderful president, Dr. Howard, for this really special moment. There is nothing more important than education, and what we are doing today celebrates education. I'm so proud of all of you, the class of 2018. Such an honor for me to be here at Robert Morris University. This is a world-class institution of higher education. Let's give this university a big round of applause. As was just mentioned, I'm Wolf Blitzer, and at least for the next few minutes, you were in the Situation Room. I often joke that whatever room I'm in, there's a situation. And I can honestly think of no better situation for me to be here celebrating with the class of 2018. Let me begin by saying congratulations. Congratulations to all of you for what you have accomplished. Congratulations, you have survived the lectures, the study groups, the all-nighters, the exams. I remember all of that very, very vividly. But you all made it through perseverance, hard work, determination, and desire. And now the only thing standing between you and your diploma is me. So I'll keep my remarks relatively brief. Let me also, thank you. I like that. Let me also congratulate your professors, your teaching assistants, your administrators. They were on this journey with you. They deserve your praise. They deserve your applause. So in fact, let's give them a big round of applause. And on your behalf, let me also say congratulations and thank you to your parents, your grandparents, your extended families, your spouses, your siblings. They have sacrificed so much to get you here. They have supported you. They love you. They deserve credit for the fact that you have arrived at this milestone. They deserve your thanks, and let's not forget that. Let's give them a big round of applause as well. I speak with personal experience when I say you guys would not be here, you wouldn't be sitting here getting ready to accept your diplomas if it had not been for them. They are amazing. It's also a milestone for me on this day. 28 years ago this week, yes, I know before so many of you were even born, I began working at CNN as a correspondent. It was May 8th, 1990, my first day at CNN. I was excited, I was nervous. Many of you will find out soon enough what it's like to walk in on the first day of your first real job after college, the anticipation, the fear, the enthusiasm. You will remember that first day vividly for the rest of your lives. I know I still do as well. I really wasn't sure what was in store for me. I had always been a print reporter, a newspaper reporter, wrote for magazines. Now I would be on television. 28 years ago on this day, 28 years ago this week, knowing that whatever I said, whatever mistakes I made would be seen and would be heard, not only in the United States, but around the world. Indeed, my early reports from the Pentagon, to put it mildly, weren't great. I stumbled, I hesitated, I got flustered. I remember my wife saying to me, "Maybe you made a mistake." But as you will discover in your careers, which are about to begin, you too will have those moments. Times where you doubt yourself, times where you doubt your abilities, times when you're ready to throw in the towel. But don't give up. Keep plugging. Find mentors to advise you. Call on your friends from college. Ask for advice. Don't be afraid to say you need help. Don't think you know everything. Be willing to learn. Be willing to learn anything. One of the most important lessons I've learned over the years, and one of the best I can share with you right now as you get ready to leave this wonderful institution and move into your new apartment or your parents' basement, is to keep on trying. I mentioned a moment ago my first day at CNN 28 years ago this week. That wasn't my first day in journalism. It was my first day in broadcast journalism. My first job as a reporter, as you heard earlier, was in the Tel Aviv bureau of the Reuters news agency, a British wire service. I was fresh out of graduate school. I had studied international relations, and I had applied for an entry-level job at Reuters, not thinking I was going to get it because I really didn't have much of a journalism background in college or in graduate school, but they hired me nevertheless. I was pretty excited. I didn't even know the basics of reporting, so I asked a lot of questions. I watched what others were doing. I befriended and leaned on veteran journalists in the Bureau to teach me the ropes. After a few months of what I thought was rather intensive training, I finally got my first big assignment. I was so excited, I remember it vividly. I literally worked all night on a story about a United Nations organized exchange of soldiers' bodies. I had traveled from Tel Aviv across the Sinai Peninsula to the Suez Canal, where the United Nations had organized an exchange of coffins between Israeli and Egyptian soldiers. I worked really hard. I interviewed Israelis, I interviewed Egyptians, I interviewed the UN personnel. I subsequently made some phone calls. I double-checked my facts. I wrote and rewrote, spent the whole night when I got back to Tel Aviv in the Bureau, working really hard. I finally thought I had a pretty good article of about 800 words. I waited until 8 a.m. when the bureau chief showed up that morning, a veteran British journalist, and I handed him my copy. I was nervous as he read it over, and I could see him begin to mutter to himself, "This is pretty bad," he said. "This is poorly written. This is not very good." I could hear him say those words. My heart quickly sank. He then took a piece of paper out, put it in an old-fashioned typewriter, and typed up 50 words, what he called a brief that he would send out on the wire around the world about the United Nations organizing this exchange of coffins. There was no byline. There was no credit. It was a 50-word little item, a paragraph, basically. And then it got worse. He told me he didn't think I had much of a future in the news business. He said, "You're really not cut out for journalism." He knew my dad was a home builder back in Buffalo, New York, and he suggested that I consider moving back to Buffalo and going into the family business. I was devastated as I walked back to my tiny little apartment in Tel Aviv, thousands of miles away from home. I thought maybe journalism isn't for me. Maybe I had made a major mistake, and I seriously thought that night of quitting. But you know what? The next morning I showed up for work, and the next day I showed up for work. I kept asking questions, I kept learning from those around me, and I never gave up. And a few weeks later, I was doing one of the menial jobs in the Bureau, a job that I had been assigned by the bureau chief. We would get in from London every month a big bucket of newspaper clips from around the world with stories from the journalists, Dateline, Tel Aviv, or Jerusalem, and the bylines of the various journalists who were based there. And it was my job to take those articles and distribute them to the journalists who had written those articles. Stories were coming in from all over the world. I was shocked at one point, after a few minutes, when I turned over one of the pages and I saw a story from a Scandinavian, a Swedish newspaper, which was in Swedish, but it had the byline, "Von Wolf Blitzer." And I looked at it, and then on top of it, I see a picture of a transfer of coffins along the Suez Canal. And then I look at this long article, which I can't read, but it looks like it's my article. I can make out a few words. And then I keep going through the clips, and I see a newspaper in Singapore. I see a newspaper in Nebraska. I see a newspaper in Brazil that had the same article that Reuters had distributed all over the world. I was confused. I thought that article had been terrible. I had been beating myself up for weeks, so I went to my boss, who had told me how bad that article was, and I said, "Look at this, Colin. Look at this batch of clips. It's got my byline. It's got the Dateline Kantara along the Suez Canal." I said, "What happened?" And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, I had been testing you, Wolf, to see if you really wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to see if you would show up for work the next day. and you did. At the time, by the way, I didn't realize that this was an old British tradition, a journalistic tradition. It was almost like pledging a fraternity. They haze you, they make you feel worthless because they want to see if you really have it in you to go ahead and work. I had passed his test, he said, by showing up for work the next day and the days that followed. I had not given up. I continued to learn, and he then told me what I really wanted to hear. He said, "Wolf, that was an excellent article you wrote. After you left, I sent it out. Very proud of you. You have a huge future ahead of you as a journalist." Nowadays, by the way, if some boss would do that, HR would be all over you. You'd be out of a job yourself if you treated someone like that. But in those days, that was just the way they did it. And I got to tell you, it was a great moment for me. Just because you're graduating today, it doesn't mean your education is over. For some of you, that's pretty obvious. You're already planning to start graduate school, law school, medical school, other schools, business. Others of you will be starting a new job. Some of you may still be looking for work. But no matter what you do next, remember that you will only be fulfilled in your life and your career if you view every day as a chance to learn something new. I've been blessed all of these years with a daily education. I wake up every morning with X amount of knowledge, but when I go to sleep after having reported the news, interviewing newsmakers, learning about all sorts of subjects, I go to sleep at night with X plus knowledge. I have a lifelong education that's part of my career, and I'm grateful for that. No matter what you do next, remember, you'll be fulfilled in your life and your career if you take chances. You may be leaving college, but I encourage you not to let the habits you learned here at this wonderful university leave you. Keep asking lots and lots of questions. There are no stupid questions. Test your assumptions. Challenge the status quo. Gain from the experiences of those who have come before you. Don't be shy. It's okay to say you need help. That's what I did. It's what I still do. And I like to think it's worked out all right. But to be truly fulfilled, it's not just about learning what you do, it's about loving what you do, which brings me to passion. If possible, and it's not always possible, if possible, don't settle for a job you don't love. Find your passion and pursue it, something that you will wake up every day and get excited about. If you're working on something you're truly passionate about, you will do it a whole lot better. If you look forward to going to work, you'll be more successful in your career. If you dread your job, you won't be very successful. You might tread water, but you won't get very far. Yes, there will be bad days. I had some very bad days. There will be bosses you dislike. There will be tasks you don't want to do. And you will falter from time to time. You'll make plenty of mistakes. What will keep you going is your passion. Whether you go on to become a lawyer, a landscaper, a carpenter, a congresswoman, find the thing you are most passionate about, and you will do well. It's the most valuable lesson I learned early in my career, not just from my professors, but from my parents as well. And they always said to me, education, education, education. I remember when I told my dad, Dad, I think I want to be a journalist. He was a practical kind of guy. He was a home builder. And he looked at me and he was deeply worried. But he said to me, a journalist? I said, yeah, I think that could be an interesting career. I've always been a news junkie, even growing up in Buffalo. Always read page 2 of the Buffalo News, which was the international news. He said, you want to be a journalist? Try it. But I could see he was worried because I know he said to my mom later, can you really make a living being a journalist? He was afraid, as all parents would be. But you know what? My mom and dad supported me. They helped me. They encouraged me. They said, son, if this is what you want to do, we're with you. It's a valuable lesson I learned early in my career. And as I say, I've never regretted it. Now that that's not to say that everyone loves what I do. I get that my colleagues and I aren't always the most popular, especially right now with some folks in Washington. We're regularly attacked, including by the President of the United States. We're accused of making up stories, of being fake news, which, by the way, we are not. We are not fake news. Whatever your views of the news media, no matter where you stand politically, please know this, that our country cannot exist, no democracy can exist without a free press. The First Amendment to the Constitution is the foundation of our country, and reporters are tasked with keeping that foundation strong. As one of my producers likes to say, ours is the only profession specifically mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. That's an excellent reason why our founders brilliantly wanted us to keep an eye and to keep elected officials and people in power accountable. That's what we try to do. We are not, and let me repeat this, we are not the enemy of the American people. We love the American people. We love what we're doing. We have a responsibility, and God knows we try to do it as best as we can. Look, we're the first draft of history. Sometimes we make a mistake. When we do, we correct it as quickly as possible. But we try to be as responsible, as fair, as honest as we possibly can be. We try to be as unbiased as we possibly can be. We try to report the news without fear or favor. We try to give our viewers the facts they need to know to make informed decisions, even if they don't necessarily always like those facts. We take our responsibility as journalists very seriously, and we do it because we want to make sure that you, our readers, our listeners, our viewers, are ready to understand what's going on and to be well informed and ready to take the mantle to lead our country. But what we do only matters if you, our graduates today, are willing to accept your role in our great society. And remember, this is America. This is the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. We have a responsibility to make it even greater. I mean that quite seriously. Thank you. Among you, the graduates, sit our future leaders, members of Congress maybe president, but also school board members, city council chairs. Our democracy will not survive without all of you staying very much involved. We won't be our best as a people, as a country, without you. I've encouraged you today to never stop learning. I'm trying to encourage you to pursue your passion, but let me also challenge you. As you leave the comforts of college and face the harsh realities of the real world, don't only focus on yourself. Don't only learn to make yourself smarter or more personally fulfilled. Don't only seek the passion in your career so you can make yourself wealthy or you can feel more important, feel more powerful. Learn so that you can share what you know, so you can become a more informed citizen, so you can help bring the next generation along with you, so that you can keep our great American democracy going. When you do a good deed for someone, when you help someone, yes, you're doing a good deed, you're helping someone, but you know what I've discovered over all of these years? You're helping yourself even more. Be passionate so you can pass along that passion to others, so that you can inspire others to do good deeds and make an impact in your community, your country, and the world. Class of 2018, as you leave here today, you stand at a crossroads in our history. You will be responsible for where this country goes, what we do, what we become. I say that not to scare you, but to inspire you. This is an awesome responsibility that all of you will have. I have faith in you, total faith, and so do your parents, your grandparents, your loved ones, your professors. So keep working hard, stay strong, stay focused, stick to your principles, even when your boss is very tough on you, even when the President of the United States is tweeting about you. You have achieved great success so far, and I am confident that you will do great things in the years to come. So, class of 2018, from deep in my heart, I say congratulations. I say thank you to this wonderful university for honoring me here today. It's a day I will always remember. I wish you only the very best. Thank you so much.
I checked my phone, and yes, we have a tweet. I'm just kidding. Wolf, I would say this. Your father was thinking about you making a living. You have made a life. You've made a life, and you have made us a better country. Because of your integrity and your sense of humor and your love of this great place. So thank you very much for being a member of the Robert Morris University family. Thank you very much.